Welcome humans, I am Dr. Shadowman. Tonight I have another dark NDE. This one is based on fictional events. Here is the story. When most people think of drowning, they imagine panic, flailing, desperate breaths. But for Daniel Hart, the world simply slipped away. He didn't scream, he didn't fight, he just felt the cold water fill his chest, and then everything went soft, like someone pulled a blanket over his consciousness. The next moment he was standing on a shoreline he had never seen before. The first thing he noticed was the color. There was no blue, no green, no warmth, just gray. A gray sky, a gray sea, a gray landscape lit by a colorless glow. He was standing on wet sand, barefoot, wearing the same clothes he drowned in, except here they were dry, as if he had never touched this ocean. The water didn't move like normal water, it pulsed like a slow heartbeat, and there was no wind, no sound, just silence so deep it made his bones feel hollow. He turned around expecting to see land. Instead, he saw figures standing far down the coastline, dozens, maybe hundreds, unmoving, staring at the horizon. As he walked towards them, he realized these weren't normal people. Their skin was pale, not white, but a washed-out gray with veins like dark cracks running beneath the surface. Their eyes were open but unfocused, not blinking, not shifting, just staring at the endless gray water. Daniel called out to them. None responded. He stepped closer to a woman in a torn blouse. Her mouth was slightly open as if frozen mid-breath. Sand stuck to the side of her face where she had clearly fallen before rising to stand again. When Daniel touched her shoulder, her head turned mechanically, as if being pulled by invisible strings, and her eyes locked onto his. They weren't empty, they were miles deep, and drowning in agony. Her throat strained as she whispered, "Don't look at it." Before he could ask what she meant, the ground trembled, very softly, like a distant thunder. The pulse of the sea grew stronger, and the sound, if it was a sound at all, rolled across the gray world like the moan of something ancient waking up. Daniel turned towards the sea. Something was rising from it. At first he thought it was a rock formation jutting out of the water, but it kept rising and rising. It had no shape he could fully comprehend, like a silhouette that shifted with every blink. One moment tall and narrow, the next wide and crawling across the surface. What frightened him wasn't the thing itself, it was the effect it had on the other figures. Every one of them slowly knelt, their heads bowed, eyes squeezed shut, except for the woman who warned him. Her mouth trembled as she fought to keep her eyes open. "Don't look at it, or it will see you." Daniel's instincts screamed at him to run, but when he tried to step back, the sand felt like hands grabbing his ankles, holding him in place. The sea pulsed again, harder this time. His chest tightened, his ribs ached, he felt pressure building behind his eyes. The black shape in the water had noticed something hidden. The shoreline bulged as something enormous moved beneath the surface. Waves thick like oil pushed towards him despite the otherwise still sea. The gray figures around him trembled. Some began to weep silently, not moving, not running, just crying without sound. The woman grabbed Daniel's arm. "You looked at it. Now it will want you." She pointed to the far end of the beach where a second shape, smaller, but just as grotesque, rose from the water. This one crawled, long limbs like branches, a body that dragged trails of black fluid behind it, its head tilted back and forth with a jerky curiosity. It was coming straight for him. Daniel tore his foot free of the sand and ran. He didn't get far as he sprinted down the shoreline. The sky dimmed as though clouds were swallowing the sun that wasn't there. And then in the distance, a tower emerged from the gray light, a spiraling bone-white structure shaped like a twisting spine, and on it eyes, dozens, hundreds, all closed except one. A single enormous eye half up the tower snapped open, its slit pupil widening as it focused directly on Daniel. The air grew thick, his ears rang, his knees buckled. Every eye on the tower opened at once, and Daniel felt something inside him tearing away from his body, like pieces of his identity ripping off in strips. He screamed, the ground split, and hands, gray hands, familiar hands, reached out from the cracks, grabbing his legs, pulling him towards the earth. Not to bury him, to claim him. Just before he was pulled under, the woman appeared in front of him again. Her eyes were flooding with tears, her voice shaking. I stayed too long, that's why I became one of them. Her hand cupped his cheek. You still have a chance, you still have a pulse on the other side. He didn't understand what she meant until she whispered, but not for much longer. The black creature that crawled from the sea shrieked, a sound like metal bending under pressure, and the hands beneath Daniel lost their grip. The woman shoved him backward. Wake up! Everything collapsed inward, the sky folding into itself, the tower of eyes imploding in a flash of violent gray light. Daniel's consciousness snapped. He woke up on the beach, but not the gray one, a real shoreline. Paramedics hovered above him, water pouring from his mouth as he coughed violently. One slap on his cheek, shouting, "He's back! We got him back!" Daniel grabbed the man's wrist. His voice was barely audible. "Don't let me go back to the gray." The EMT looked confused. "What gray?" Daniel wept hysterical breathless sobs he couldn't control. Because behind the paramedic's head, far out at sea for a split second, he thought he saw a shape, a tall black changing, watching for him, and the pulse of the sea, the familiar rhythm, rolled through his body. He didn't sleep for 3 days. Doctors said he had been dead for nearly 4 minutes, enough time for brain damage, but Daniel spoke clearly, too clearly. He told them everything, the gray sea, the figures, the tower of eyes, the crawling creature. They told him it was hypoxia, hallucinations, dying brain. But Daniel shook his head. There is a place where the lost go. Not the evil, not the damned, just the empty, the forgotten. He whispered one final thing before leaving the hospital. "You don't understand, it's all me." He knew deep down that one day, maybe years from now, when his heart failed again, that thing would still be waiting on the shore. Well, that was weird. If you want to hear more of these stories, like and subscribe. Have a spooky night and scary nightmare.